welcome back. This is Brian from Snowwalker Outdoors. So today we're going to talk about a fun little thing. We're going to talk about that forward capture system. So we're going to talk about prussiks and carabiners and pulleys and everything that was really cool. Had some questions on that forward capture system. We're going to talk about it, basically how to set it up so that when you're using it to pull a craft out of the water, you don't lose what you've gained by pulling. So don't go away. Okay, so we're back and we're going to talk about the forward capture system. Now remember, what we're using this for is that if we have a boat, if we have a kayak, a canoe, a raft, or something of that nature, maybe even you're using it for, even pulling a sled up a hill. You're pulling and you're moving the object, but what winds up happening is that you have a current that's pulling it back, or you're just having gravity pull it back down. And what you want is you're basically using this to capture the amount that you've pulled in one pull so that you don't lose any more of it. So basically it acts as a brake. You pull it, it goes how many feet, and then you stop, catch your breath, get a rest, and then you don't lose that momentum. You take a break, it's not going to go anywhere, it's going to stay exactly where it is. So let's take a look at how we set this up. A few things that we need. Well, first thing is if you have this in your PFD, this is half the battle that's right here. This also is the segue into a Z-drag, and we'll talk about that in a later video. So we have a locking carabiner, we have a prussik minding pulley, and we'll explain that. And then we have a prussik. Now, I've recently changed prussiks. So this prussik here is 13.5 inches. And your prussik is basically going to dictate the amount that you're going to lose when you're pulling, and whether it be because of the current or whether it be because of gravity, what you're going to give back. Okay, so the hollow block that I had in the PFD was a 20-inch. So when you set this up in a prussik on the line, you were still going to lose this much. That's quite a bit. Okay, so what I did is I went to a 13-inch, and we're going to lose a lot less, especially once it gets tied on, right? The next thing you're going to need is you're going to need an anchor line. So what we have here is we have 1-inch flat tubular webbing, and that is going to be your anchor point for your line. You're also going to need some type of throat line to get back to your craft or whatever you're trying to pull up a hill. So those are the things that we need. So now let's go take a look at how we set it. Before we actually set this up, I want you to think about something. I want you to set up your line to your craft, okay, whether it be a canoe, kayak, raft, whatever you're moving. There may be a way to dislodge it or start to move it by just moving around however we pull. Okay, so what I mean by that is that this line here is attached to that canoe there, and that's our pinned canoe. So maybe I can dislodge it, I can move it by just pulling this way. Maybe I can't. So now what I want to do is I want to actually change my position. Maybe if I move back over on this side, or if I have the room, I can pull this way. Maybe it works. And then lastly, maybe if I come all the way over here and pull, maybe I can dislodge the craft and we can get it out. Once we have figured out that we really can't budget, okay, now we're going to want to start with some type of mechanical advantage type apparatus. Although this is not a true mechanical advantage, it does, as we move the craft, it does provide us with a means to not lose what we've already gained. Okay, so now let's take a look at how we set this up. Now we've talked about our anchor. Okay, so for the convenience, we've already set our anchor up. This is going to be on a inanimate object, that is not going to move. So it's going to be a rock, it's going to be a tree, you know, whatever we can find that can hold the weight that we're pulling, plus the force of whatever we're pulling against, and it's not going to move. Okay, so this is our anchor point. That's why it's called an anchor. Okay, we use our first locking carabiner, and we always use locking carabiners. Clip it in, lock it in place. Now here, so this is a prusik minding pulley, and what I mean by that is okay, if you can see this, see how this is flat right here? The old pulleys were rounded, and what would happen is your prusik would actually get caught in the pulley, and you'd have to fish it out, and then you'd have to pull and fish it out, pull. Okay, because this is flat, the prusik will hit this and it'll stop, and you can continue to pull the rope through, and you'll see that here. Once we have this rope that is attached to our canoe, kayak, or whatever vessel, it runs through our pulley, and this is where we're going to pull. We're going to pull this side. The benefit that we have is that we can pull from here, we can pull from here, we can pull on this angle here. It doesn't matter. We can stay out of the way of the rope in case something should happen. The next thing we do is we set up our prusik. Now, something that you need to remember, okay? We want this to be dressed up nice. Okay, everything has to be nice, tangle-free. Secondly, because this is a sewn prusik right here, we don't want this to be here, and we certainly don't want it to be up in here. We want it to be in line. Okay, we don't want our carabiner to be resting up against that sewn spot. We want it to be back here. This, hook it into our anchor, lock it off. How I told you about the prusik minding pulley. Okay, this is exactly how this is going to work. You're going to pull. See how it stops? It blocks it. We can continue to pull our rope. Now, if we stopped and we needed to catch a breath, okay, the current in the river is going to pull it back down. But that's where it's going to stop. If we were to start here, you're going to pull, 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 stop and rest. That'll go back, and you've only lost 6 inches. So I've pulled equivalent of 3 feet and lost 6 inches. Not bad. So that's the forward capture system. I hope you enjoyed it. I tried to simplify it and make it as easy as possible for you to actually follow. However, just following a video on YouTube is not the same thing as taking a class. I am not a swift water rescue instructor, but I have taken several classes in it because I used to do it all the time through my fire department and through my sheriff's office as well. And I am a certified rescue diver as well as a master diver. It's no replacement for going and taking a class. Go out, learn new skills, and take your classes so that you know how to do these things. And it's going to be the same thing with the subsequent videos as far as doing like the Z-drag or the Scott Thomas rope trick to get a canoe unpinned. These things take practice, and while you're learning these things, it's always better to have an actual instructor in these things in controlled environments, so that the risk of injury to yourself is, although it's still there, it'll be minimized as much as can be. So please, just don't take my word for it. Learn how to do these things. Learn how to do these things correctly. That's about it. It's been tough to get out on the water. It's just been a bad summer. A lot of things going on. Life gets in the way. We'll try to keep up on some more canoe stuff, and we'll go from there. So get on outside, practice your skills, Have fun doing it. Don't worry about the other guy and what the other guy is carrying. You do you, and you carry what works for you. Thanks for all the views and the comments. Always throw a comment out there, whatever it is. I'll try to address it, and we'll go from there if we have a discussion again. Great. Again, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. That's where I am. No TikToks, no X's, no nothing like that. So Brian from Snow Walker Outdoors. Till the next one.